This first section is about digital citizenship. How can you tell the difference between true and false information? And how can you avoid being manipulated online? The online world is awash in misinformation these days. COVID-19 has been a really great case study for this problem, and I think it has really highlighted some of the issues that are at play here. It was a complex, quickly changing problem which required collective action, at the very same time that we were all forced to interact with each other, almost exclusively through the online platforms which were exacerbating these problems in the first place. Now, the good news here is that the very act of learning about misinformation and how it spreads can make you less susceptible to its effects. A concept I want to introduce here is something I like to call cartoon reality. This is the tendency for the digital world to oversimplify reality. It creates a kind of exaggerated cartoon of the world. Edges and bumps are smoothed over. Nuance is easily lost, and we can easily end up with a false picture of reality. Let's take a look at an example of this. Here we have a nice squiggly line that can kind of represent the real world. It's complicated, and it has a lot of nuance contained within it. But as we take this line and translate it into the binary ones and zeros of the digital world, we gradually lose resolution, ending up with a picture that has been so simplified that it begins to lose its original meaning. And the danger here is that we start to treat everything in terms of these simplified ones and zeros, this good or bad, arguments, societal issues, and most importantly, other people. We can all end up treating this way. We can actually see an interesting example of this in older Disney movies. It's often immediately apparent in these movies who are the good characters and who are the bad ones. The heroes will be an example of perfect goodness. They're kind, attractive, and pure of heart. On the other hand, the villains are examples of this utter evil. They're cruel, unattractive, scheming, and black in their hearts. And in Disney movies, this isn't really a problem. After all, they're stories which are typically made for young children, and this kind of requires simplifying the world and stories down to something that's understandable to that age group. But when adults and societies start seeing the world through this cartoon lens, it can create real problems. People usually aren't purely good or evil, and problems that society face usually contain multiple solutions that contain different trade-offs rather than a simple right or wrong answer. Social media tends to push us towards these short, easy, and simplified interactions with other people. This makes it really easy to start viewing the world through this simplified lens, where we emotionally attach ourselves to specific narratives, groups, or people. We start seeing complicated things purely in terms of good or bad. And the algorithms know that we get attached, we get emotionally attached to specific content, and so they'll show us more of that, because this increases the amount of time we spend on that site, allowing them to sell us more advertisements. So what can we actually do about this? Well, the good news is that by merely being aware of the types of content and tactics which are used to emotionally manipulate people, you can become more resistant to that manipulation. There are two websites here which lead you through examples of content which is designed to be emotionally manipulative. The first is Bad News. It's a short game which takes you through 6 examples of tactics used to give false information a sense of validity. The second is Spot the Troll, and this goes through real examples of fake and legitimate social media profiles. And it gets you to guess which one each one is, and it teaches you how to spot the difference. So your job is to go and pick one of these 2 websites and run through the activity. See if you're able to spot the misinformation, and hopefully you come out of it the other side being a little bit more resistant to it yourself.